He probably has to give permission to his camera. Maybe here he is. All right, we are live. Sorry about that. We had to get Paul Justafan in there. We are live here from all over New York, New Jersey. April 16th. Somehow winter became a thing again. Every time I go to the resort here, it snows, and it was snowing before a little bit, some flurries. Anyway, we're back. Cool. Whole hoops and happenings. To my right, we got Nick from Milburn. What's up, Nick?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing, Bobby?
We got Chris Jones with some big news this week about his future employment outside of Seton Hall when he graduates.
Thank you.
We got Nick Gizzy, the Ginster.
Hello, everyone.
Biggest female hockey fan in New Jersey.
I thought you were going to say biggest female hockey player in New Jersey.
Nah.
I don't play. I only spectate.
We saved the word big for Nick Morgan.
Bobby, Aaron Judge has hit his 7th home run of the season, put the Yankees back up 4-3. So I thought you'd like that. Just
there we go. Let's go.
Woo!
So Yankees on top.
Yankee show starting soon.
Very nice. Let's do it.
After the draft next week. And, of course, Paul Justafan. Paul, as you may have noticed, he shaved last week. That's his got rid of his winter hibernation look.
Yeah, Paul shaved and the ratings went up 10%. I got it. It's great.
Well, I gotta admit that I shaved because the weather was getting hot. So now I'm wondering if I made a mistake.
Yeah, one day, right? I mean, unbelievable. I'm like freezing up here. It's crazy. But the only good thing is, hopefully at 11 o'clock at night, and it might be happening down there in Jersey as well. It's supposed to be a real good opportunity to see the Northern Lights tonight. So if you're a big fan of the Aurora Borealis, tonight might be a good night to see it. And I'm up in the perfect place finally. I'm in the woods, so I may take a ride in the cold and go to the top of the mountain to see if I can see some lights. That's a dream come true for me. So,
what Christmas show? What Christmas show is that from? The Aurora Borealis. There's one cartoon. Was that Frosty's? No.
It might have been the Heat Miser one, maybe.
Yeah, the Heat. Yeah, that one.
Well, I'll do my producing thing for a few moments. Nick, take it away. I guess, or real quick, I guess we had one bit of good news this week. The women signed a player, right? 6'2" center from Florida State. I texted Coach Boz a couple of days ago, and he gave me the scoop. And supposedly there was a player from Texas and a player from Penn State coming in this week to talk to the women's program as well. But Nick, take it away as far as what's happening with the men's team.
Yeah. So update and hey guys. So we have 7 players in the transfer portal. Prince, Tume, Middleton. Dual was the latest, even though he needs surgery. That's the story. On his shoulder. Gus, Coleman, and Okorafor. We have right now we have 4 and we have 2 players, Dylan and help me, Dylan and Chauncey graduated, so they lost their eligibility, and then we have 2 players coming back right now, Godswill and Felton, even though Felton has an agent. So, and we signed TJ Simpkins and Bud Clark, 2 nice players, 2 nice guards. And yeah, that's where we are right now. Any comments on anybody hear anything about players, transactions, moving, what's going on? Anything, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard much, but the way I look at this, and again, I get that we keep Godswill and Felton. Those are 2 guys that I think, again, 2 freshmen that had some pretty solid seasons, showed some potential. So it's also good to keep them back. But when you lose that much of a roster, it's going to hurt in every sense. Like, you lose all your starters, graduating, transfer portal. And at least for Sheena Holloway, again, after having a rough season, not the season that he would hope for, like in the eyes of fans and all of us, how do you now expect to go into next season with a completely, yet again, brand new roster? Because that's what we saw last year with having, outside of Dylan, pretty much a brand new team. So almost an exact same situation going into next year. This is yet again a new team. So it's rough to see this many players go into the portal. Obviously, there were some names and some guys that we pretty much expected. I mean, we knew Coleman was looking for something after getting that NIL agent. We knew that was going to happen. But losing that many, it hurts. It really does hurt. Again, I'm happy we still have Godswill and Felton, but I'm interested to see how the rest of this offseason goes because, again, you said it. We've only had two additions so far. So, obviously, there's got to be more. There's going to be more. But I'm interested to see what Holloway has cooking up behind the scenes.
I think it's more than just Seton Hall. I think it's just college basketball itself. And I was talking to my son and his friend, and that group that they had when my son graduated, that group stuck together. You had, Kadeem Carrington, Desi Rodriguez, Mike Enzi. It was just that whole thing, that whole group. And you're not going to have that anymore. I mean, Isaiah was there for 2 years. The landscape of college basketball, if you get I kind of think the fact that we had Coleman for 2 years is an anomaly in just the way everything's going. Because like I was saying before we went on the air, no matter what level you are, and I don't want to get into speculations of money and everything, and then Angel was another one, and then Ish, but no matter what level you are, someone has more money than you to spend, unless you're like Duke, right? So someone can always swoop down and grab your players. And, kids have agents, are being told that they're probably worth more than what they are. That's just human nature. And they're going in the portal. And, yeah, it's just, I was talking to someone else today, and it's almost to the point where you're really rooting for the front of the uniform, because from year to year, you don't know who your players are. And that's just something that you have to get used to, I guess. Paul, what do you think?
Well, I have to kind of take issue with Chris tonight. We went 7-22 and 2-18. I'm not sure that you can't go to the portal, grab 10 other guys, and go 7-22 and 2-18. You look at the guys that we've left. I'm looking at the list of the folks who are in the portal, and other than Gus and Isaiah Coleman, no one else has been signed by anybody else. So there's not this huge number of colleges banging down the door to get Prince Alege or Okafor.
Or getting them at the dollar amount they want.
Exactly. So yeah. I think, I do agree with Chris that we have to watch to see what's going to happen. The jury is still out. There are a lot of players that are left around that are good in the portal. And I do have confidence with Coach Shaw that he's going to be able to go and get some players. And I have trouble believing that it's going to be any worse than it was last year. So, again, we'll see how it goes. The thing that I find most concerning is when you look at some of the other teams in the conference, Xavier has gotten some terrific players. UConn has gotten a kid from Georgia who's very, very good, and they've got an incoming freshman who's good. Georgetown has got a bunch of guys, even though they're losing Sorber to the draft. So
Patino just signed a shooter today.
Yeah, we seem to be a little bit behind the rest of the league, and that is kind of concerning for me.
I'm going to say one thing I agree with, and I agree with him a lot, Chris Jones. Continuity is something that, just because that group won 7 games this year doesn't mean next. And we've all seen that in college basketball. Team wins 7 games one year, add 1 or 2 more players to it, and it jumps up to maybe a 17-18 team win. So there is something for continuity, but it's just not college basketball these days.
Hey guys,
but I do have confidence in Shaw and company. I do think they'll get a respectable team on the court, and we are behind the other schools right now. But
guys and gals, real quick, I'm looking at on3.com. I read it every morning, every night, see what's going on. Point guard from Princeton, going to our national championship Florida team. Princeton to Florida. St. Bonaventure, which is is below us. What, that's A10? No, it's A10, right?
Yeah, A10.
Mm-hmm.
The Bonnies. He's going to Kentucky. What? And then, like I was telling before, I was talking to my guy Matty Stone, and it just seems like Seton Hall is getting players that are not. We're not getting those players going from Princeton to Florida or Bonnies to KU. I'm not saying we're not getting good players, but what is? I don't know. It's just crazy.
I think in recruiting and now in the transfer portal, I judge a player by who else is in on him. And we were in on the Temple kid Zion, and Willard came in and swooped him up. So I mean, so we probably had the right radar there. And who else is after that kid? So if we were in after a kid that Kentucky was going in and then lost out, I'd be like, okay, we're at least beating the right path.
Unbelievable.
What is it going to take to convince prospective players that Seton Hall is somewhere they want to play? Because from the way everything is looking at, like right now, we've only got two guys. That's literally it.
Nicole, it starts with the money.
Yep.
I know we have a beautiful practice facility. I know you're high on Seton Hall. I love Seton Hall. My 3 kids went here, but it starts with the money, and then all those other factors come into play. Kids are looking for a payday. I mean, they want to stay 5 years because not everyone is, NBA or the D League, and their college kids are making more than players in the D League.
Yep.
It's turned into that.
Right. I would imagine Eric Dixon's going to take a pay cut. He's projected to go late in the second round from Villanova.
Yeah.
And he'll probably sign a 2-way contract and take a pay cut from what he got at Villanova last year.
Exactly.
So, Kisser, what you're asking, 3 years ago, it was something to come play for Coach Shaw because he won the NIT, or he was in the Final 8 at St. Peter's. It doesn't matter anymore. They're not coming here just for a coach. They want the money.
We going back, we beat St. John's for Isaiah Whitehead, who was a McDonald's All-American and a top 25, top 10 player. That's not going to happen anymore because number one ask for any of these players, and you can't blame them, is going to be money.
Like I said last week, and I'll say it again this week. I know people caught at the end of the show last week. Has anyone seen Cooper Flagg's report card?
No.
Are these guys going to school? Are they taking classes, or is it now just a semi-pro sport where they're keeping in condition, they're working on their game and whatnot, they're working on their social media, but they're not taking any real courses anymore because why? I'm getting paid. I'm an employee now.
Well, is eligibility still a thing? Do you have to maintain a certain grade to become eligible? I mean, a long time ago, we lost 3 starters. Howard McNeil, Clark Young, and Darryl Devereaux on a team that had beat Akeem Olajuwon in Houston. And then report cards came out, and we lost those players. So is that even a thing anymore? I hope it is, right?
Also, traditionally, athletes don't go through the same academic rigor that people like Chris and Nick and I go through.
Whoa. It depends on the athlete. Mike Nezzi took a course load, I'm sure, is just as tough as yours, if not tougher.
I mean, from the perspective of advisors and stuff. Like, I was supposed to take a class my sophomore year with one of the athletes, and the advisor swapped them out to a different class, like without explanation.
Right, but I mean, I know that there are kids that went to Seton Hall that are athletes that were in the Stillman School of Business, which isn't easy.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, Bobby, I just took a quick look. Cooper Flagg's the wrong guy to go after. Supposedly, he's got a 4.1 at Duke. There's plenty of guys that are.
plenty of guys who are going. By the way, Tate Davis, our own Tate Davis, is on his 3rd school already.
Well, that was something that I was going to bring up because, I look at this group, and you are all the men and women of Seton Hall.
Yep.
And it was formative. Seton Hall was, to all of you, a formative part of your of you becoming the people that you're going to become. If you think about it, if you're a 12-year-old basketball player right now, you're not playing in your hometown. You're playing on some AAU team, and you're driving all over the Northeast to play. So the whole idea of that group of kids in your hometown that you grow up with isn't there.
Nope.
You're not going to Jonathan Dayton Regional High School. You're going to the Dallas Christian Academy or IMG Academy to go to high school. So you're not having that high school experience. And then you're going to go to 4 colleges in 5 years. And you're going to be done with your career by the time you're 27 years old.
Yeah.
Which is when I'm imagining the 3 of you guys are going to just be rolling. What do you do? At 27 years old, where do you go back to? You don't really have a back. And I kind of wonder about this, this group of second tier athletes, guys who aren't good enough to play 10 years in the NBA. What are they going to do when they're 28 years old? So I just, kind of wanted to throw that out to you guys because I know that you're at that formative stage in your careers and you're falling back on that experience.
There's
Well,
so
if you
many
look at
people.
Seton Hall and recent graduates, I mean, Brendan Mobley, was a very good player for Seton Hall. He's a police officer down in Georgia. Mike Enzi's on Wall Street. I mean, you could go on. There are kids that and you look at the Angel, Kadeem, Desi. They're all playing in Europe. I mean, Coach Copeland, I saw him. You can have a 10, 11, 12 career year in Europe, and then, like we've talked about before, then they come back and they become coaches.
Well, that's fair.
Jordan Theodore had a long career.
Yeah.
Jeremy Hazel had a long career. They were both at the top of the European level. There's a million levels out there, basketball, pro levels, like soccer, and they were at the top, those two.
Remember Patrick Gauda went and played somewhere and
still playing, I think.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, I think he's still playing. So what's it going to take? I mentioned this last week as well, and I was thinking more about this. Now I'm going to use this as an example. There's thousands of players in the portal right now, right? Who knows what type of academic oversee they have over these programs? Again, not saying Cooper Flag per se. So what's going to take, for example, Mr. Vitamin Water guy from St. John's, maybe Patino pisses him off. He's going to say, you know what? I'm going to take my billions of dollars. I'm going to buy, now for the old heads here, I'm going to buy Uppsala College in East Orange, right? Which used to be a college. It's now a high school. And I'm going to make my own little college there, call it Vitamin U. And then I'm going to make my program D1 and just buy the whole roster every year. Like that is
well,
they do that.
They do that in high school. Like Oak Hill Academy in Virginia came out of nowhere, and they got Alonzo Mourning and all these other players, right? Like Monteverdi. I mean,
IMG.
Yeah, IMG. They came out of nowhere. That was Boltieri IMG, right?
There's a couple
Andre
of them.
Agassi's coach, the tennis guy. Yeah.
So I mean, what's gonna stop that from happening? Someone's got to step. I mean, again, we keep saying this. Someone's got to step in. We're not going to survive this Seton Hall. We are not a money school.
No, unfortunately.
I mean, how long is it? I mean, all it takes is one big benefactor, one big alum.
Yeah.
And by the way, does anybody know where Providence is getting all this money?
No.
Because I'm looking at the portal. They just signed Jason Edwards from Vanderbilt. They just signed Jaden Pierre. They just signed what do you call it? Daquan Davis from Florida State, and Jaden Sellers from Central Florida. And Edwards and Daquan Davis are very, very good basketball players. And so and they've got a guy named Cole Hargrove. Where are they getting these guys? Where are they getting the money for these guys? I mean, Providence is not that much. Does Providence have a huge alumni base? Are they like
all you need is a Vitamin Water guy or Nicole's guy, George Kurz, who decides. And the thing I heard this about George Kurz now, that so let's say Rapoli gives $5 million for 2 years, right? And then he says, I'm done. Like you said, I'm not giving any money. Then he's a villain. And supposedly Kurz doesn't want that because is it sustainable to give $5 million a year for 10 years? Because the minute you don't, then the team's going to drop. It's the whole system. It's horrible right now. The NCAA tries to do something, someone sues them, and they lose. So they're just like basically whatever you want. And it's an awful. We'll all agree on that. While we're glad the players are getting compensated for their name, image, and likeness, and this recruiting was not supposed to be what the NIL was about. And somebody saw a loophole in the rules, and now it is, and it's insanity.
NIL was never supposed to be pay to play.
Exactly.
I think, Nick, you mentioned this a few weeks ago. Doesn't High Point University have a big fund now? High Point University is becoming a player because they have money.
Yeah, anybody could become a player. BYU signed the #1 high school kid in the country. You just need Jay Billis's theory. This is good because anyone could be good overnight if you have a lot of money, if you have a donor. And here's the other thing: if you look at Seton Hall's, Nicole, didn't you guys break a record this year with donation day?
I believe we
Giving
did.
day. Yeah, so there are people that are generous and willing to give to Seton Hall. Maybe not at that level, but it's there. There's people with the passion.
Yeah, I mean, look, the 250 grand got unlocked for the men's basketball revenue share, and even for the ladies, the 15 grand also got unlocked. So there's obviously people that want to help with that, but obviously we're just a little people. We can't be funneling all this money for what we need. We need a bigger power player in this situation.
Right. Yeah, we can only buy so many bricks.
I also, speaking of, there's still some bricks available. So the sooner you buy them, the sooner the wall goes up. So please buy your bricks. I want to see my bricks. I also wanted to bring up real quick, last week I was watching the news and apparently the Power 4 commissioners were on Fox News with Brett Baer at 6:00. And they were pretty much begging Congress to help them with this NIL situation. And as we know, Congress wants the NCAA to figure it out themselves because ultimately they're the ones that put themselves in this situation.
Yeah. Ryan Brindley just said, if that's the case, why do we have 2 players on the team? Well, we actually have 4 players on the team. We have 2 returning and 2 signees.
Goswell has said it's not about the money. Goswell, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah. At least he has a head on his shoulders.
And I mean, there are no really excuse after excuse. Well, we're not making excuses on here, and you could talk NIL on here, not on WSOU. Sorry, Chris Jones, but you can. But you've always got to take a shot, Anyway, the portal is so crazy. You know what I learned today? Nick Morgan, you play basketball, right?
No, I don't play basketball.
You don't play basketball at all?
Nick Morgan plays basketball.
You don't play basketball?
No, I used to a little bit in middle
Let's say you
school.
were an intramural all-star. You could join the portal. Nothing prevents Nick Morgan from putting his name in the portal.
That's Gilbert, right? Who's our kid? Who's the walk-on?
David Gabriel.
He's in the portal.
No, okay.
No,
So
he's
actually,
wait, okay.
So
explain
David
that
Gabriel,
to me.
David Gabriel.
Nicole's saying no.
I was talking to him in the calf like the day or 2 after the tweet came out. That tweet was posted by a verified account who's paid for their verification, who had no knowledge of the situation and tweeted it out. It's not true. Dave Gabriel's not in the portal. He was working with the Seton Hall Athletics PR guy to try to get it taken down. They haven't been successful yet. There have been like one-offs on Reddit saying the same thing, that Dave Gabriel's entered, walk-on for Seton Hall's entered the portal, things like that. He said for him it was a whirlwind, like 24 to 48 hours, because he had family and friends reaching out to him like, hey, you didn't tell us you were going to enter. Like, where are you going? What are you doing? What's happening here? Not true. He doesn't know where that came from. He doesn't know why that got out. He said to us, quote unquote, verbatim, I love it here. He's not leaving. He's coming back next year as a walk-on again. He's going to be a fan favorite still next year, yet again, for the people that will come up with him, which is like my graduating year. He's, a junior, going to be senior like myself. So not in the portal. Don't know where that came from and why that person with the paid for verified account posted that. But it is in fact not true. So
I love David Gabriel, but the point is, David could be in the portal, right? There's nothing from prevent him. And we have a question from Tom O'Brien, the great Tom O'Brien. I've seen Simpkins from Elon play. He isn't a three-point shooter. We need to go after three-point shooters. Kind of agree with you, Mr. O'Brien. KW, Kevin Willard, says college basketball is about shooting threes and defending threes. That's what the game has evolved to. And Pitino was the very first coach that saw this. And I guess he did the math, and we're all college graduates there. If you take 100 shots, and they're 2-point shots, and you hit 50, it's 100 points. If you take 100 3-point shots and at 39%, which Duke shot this year, that's 117 points. You win by 17 points. So yes, the game is about shooting threes and defending threes. And I agree with him. We need shooters. We definitely need shooters. Every team needs shooters. But again, they're at a premium and they're going to cost you me.
And I think both of our commits have a 25 or 26% average from three, right? Like neither of these guys that we're getting are success will really be on the arc so far. We saw Coleman kind of struggle this year, so we do need that big guy to make a splash. And maybe that's something that they're working on. But neither guy that has committed so far is going to be good from range, at least historically in their careers so far. So we do have to make that adjustment.
By having 3-point shooters, you stretch the court and you open things up for other players. And the Nova team that won in 16, they were all 3-point shooters. Look, I mean, Hart, DiVincenzo, all those guys, other players could all hit threes. Yeah, it's important in the college game, but now they're at a premium. Absolutely.
We need a Mark.
Somebody had mentioned, I'm sorry, Paul, real quick. Somebody had mentioned last week in our group that I hope to God we're not waiting for this settlement to come down because we're missing time. Time is money. We're missing out. Yep. And they just hope we're not waiting for this ruling to come down from the courts and then act on what we have to act on.
Yep. Someone I know supposedly called the university and they told him that is not true. That is not true. I have no way of knowing if that's true or not. But I hope it's not true.
By the way, your daughter says, do you, Dad?
Do I what, Christina?
I mean, I'm kind of lost here, too.
Yeah, I was a little lost, too. But anyway, I know Nicole, let me just say this was my birthday. Kids got me these headphones on the advice I found out of Nicole Gizzi. So Nick, Jess, Christina, Brielle, Michael, and oh, my God, I just drew a blank. Jessica, I'm sorry. My Ricky, thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. And Nicole, thank you for helping.
Here's an interesting post here.
So, Mr. Bosworth, James Bosworth saying we have $6 million confirmed. So why aren't we spending it, Mr. Bosworth? Why aren't we spending $6 million? I'm sure the 2 signees we have didn't come to $6 million.
Oh, I hope not.
And please, if we have $6 million, let's give 1.5 to Coach Boz, and let's get an NCAA women's team next year.
By the way, what did you guys think of the WNBA draft? Was there anything that was surprising?
I'm so happy that Caitlin Chen was drafted. I'm so happy. It's literally a Kate Martin all over again.
Well, I know that Nick's favorite player in women's basketball history went in the very first pick.
Yep.
And there was something back when before I was born, literally before I was born, the NBA used to have something called the territorial draft. And that meant if you were the Celtics, you had a first dibs on players that were coming out of New England. And if the Cincinnati Royals were a team at the time and they drafted Jerry Lucas and Oscar Robertson out of University of Cincinnati and Ohio State. Do you think that the WNBA should do something like that to keep the UConn kids on the Connecticut Sun and the South Carolina kids, in Georgia, kind of have some continuity in the fan base? Because I mean, personally, having, seeing what's going on in Connecticut, I know that if you had 5 UConn women playing on the Connecticut Sun, they would probably have 8,000 people a game in that stadium. So, what do you guys think? I mean, they haven't heard that.
I mean, Paul, you're talking about my favorite player, but your favorite coach was sitting at the table, and Nicole's favorite player, AZ Fudd, was also sitting at the table, and it was a love fest for UConn. And Paige again. Thanks everybody. Paige is great.
So you asked me last week if I respected Gino Auriemma, and yes. I had a chance to think about his impact.
Right.
Okay, in Connecticut, in most of the country, and this is unfortunate but true, fans of women basketball cheer for the women too. They cheer for the men, and they cheer for the women too. They're the second thing.
Yeah.
Connecticut has a ton of fans of their women's team that don't give a hoot about the men's team.
Yes.
Okay, they have made women's basketball its own separate thing.
Yes.
In Connecticut.
I believe
And Auriemma has brought basketball to people who were never basketball fans.
Yes.
Because if you look at the fan base of UConn's women's team, it's not the same people.
No.
It's a lot of older people. It's a lot of women who have never fans of basketball. So you have to give the man credit for bringing the game to people who have never watched it.
Yes.
For creating this, and I have to give him credit for that. So no, it's impossible not to respect him.
And there were 50, 60-year-old men in our age group wearing Paige Becker jerseys. That would never happen before. And Ryan Brindley, why does the athletic department not hire a GM? Well, Ryan, back in December, Bobby Blackjack and I were talking about that, and the need to hire a GM. So
by the way, GM news for the week: Max Crosby of Raiders fame is now assistant GM of his alma mater, Eastern Michigan, to help with the football program get better players. So a small school like Eastern Michigan has an assistant GM now. And I believe you haven't noticed Trey Young, who was ejected yesterday from the
real class act. I'm going to take my ball and run away with it. Real class, Trey.
Yeah, I know.
He was auditioning to come back for WrestleMania.
And he's assistant GM at Oklahoma, which got Trey Davis, by the way. And there was somebody else. So it is out there, Ryan. I don't know why we're not. Is it an ego thing? Does Brian Felt not want to give up part of the power? I don't know. You tell me.
I think it's almost a necessity, right? Like, how could one person do all that?
We got a lot of guys. We have a lot of I'm going to cycle through all the. We got a lot of comments so far, so I'll just cycle through them. Feel free to comment as we go along.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien.
Bobby, real quick, I just
got to put family on, Ricky.
Yeah, I know him, Ricky. I love Ricky. I love you, Mr. Yard. I love you.
Bobby, real quick, I just want to show something real fast. I know we're saying that Gino kind of had a hand in introducing people to women's basketball. For me, it was Coach B. This poster's from 2019. 2019 women's basketball team.
Awesome. Women and Christina, my daughter, who was just chiming in there. She went to the Phyllis Mangina basketball camp. Didn't make the All-Star team, but definitely went, I think, 2 or 3 years to the Phyllis Mangina basketball camp. Now, again, James, how do you know that? Did you talk to Bud or Simpkins? Did they tell you that? So everything's like speculation. We heard like 7 different figures, right, Paul, that Kadari got last year. Yeah. Everything you talked to, even Patino was giving different figures. How does anyone know?
Well, at some point, there's going to need to be some level of visibility.
Right.
But I wanted to ask, Chris, they started the show by saying that your career, your post Seton Hall career, is going in a direction, and we haven't given you a chance to talk about that.
Yeah.
Chris, all yours.
Yeah. Just yesterday, I accepted a full-time job at MetLife Stadium.
Woo!
So I'll be there Monday through Friday for all Giants, Jets, concerts, and all that.
Way to go!
So what are you going to be doing?
I said it before. Airtime on WSOU does not equate to success down the road. God bless you. I know how hard you work. Good job.
Excellent.
So what are your duties going to be? Did they know what your job is going to be to start with?
Yeah, so I didn't get obviously the exact details yet, but I'm still in because I had an internship with them this past summer. So I'm still going to be in works with the broadcast department, whether it's setting up stuff for the video board, pylons outside, but also just like little media events as well. I'll be setting stuff up like that. Again, just making sure the broadcast runs smoothly. I'm working underneath someone else, so they'll obviously teach me the ways and what need to be done, but I'll be in works with the broadcast department.
Can I make one small suggestion?
Yes.
Keep that damn fireman off the screen. Yeah. We're done with Fireman Ed, please. The guy quit. He's a volunteer and he quits. Not even a fan. I quit. I retire. Good. And then he comes back when they're good.
Yeah. No. We'll see.
No pictures of Fireman Ed.
Now MetLife Stadium is going to be a site for the World Cup, right? As well as the Giants and the Jets.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a cool opportunity.
Oh yeah. I know this summer is like the Club World Cup, but then next summer is the big time World Cup. So that'll be cool to see.
Back to the messages. Great point by Ryan Brindley. Why aren't we hiring Mamu? Well, first of all, Mamu has to get a good contract this year. Mamu has to get the hell out of San Antonio. Okay, he has skills. He proved it. Come to Brooklyn.
Come to Garden.
No. There's too many Nova guys there. He's not going to get along.
The Nova Knicks. I'm going Saturday.
He's not going to like the Nova guys there. But Mamu needs to get a good salary this year. He's earned it, and maybe he gets a little bit back to us. Also, Ryan Brindley, I'm not sure who he means here. Who's competency of whose staff? Are we talking Shaw? Or are we talking Felt? Ryan, if you can clarify that. And actually, so obviously the people online, because we read the comments before, they're talking to each other, so to speak. Not including us. So they're talking to each other here.
All these comments are great. This is what happens when we tell Nicole we are available. Nicole can promote the show, and look what happens.
Yep.
Thank you, Nicole.
Of course. And before we get to Ryan's answer, I was thinking about this. Kevin Willard loves Under Armour. Villanova's a Nike school. Is Villanova going to become an Under Armour school?
No. Show me the money. No, he will automatically love Nike. Absolutely. If they're the biggest contract, we were Adidas right before Willard. We were an Adidas school, and then Willard came and Under Armour. So. And Maryland was the king of Under Armour, but I think that guy's mad at him.
So let's actually take the question about Coach Holloway. I know, Nick, you have talked about having a lot of confidence in him.
I do.
Okay, I'm going to be a little bit more critical because it's my nature.
Well, let me just say this. I have confidence in him as a coach.
Okay.
As a GM, I don't know. I think it's too hard for anyone.
So if we go for a second away from the idea that there's 2,000 players in the portal and somebody's got to sit down and go through all of them to figure out which ones we want while recruiting high school kids. So let's say that someone needs to be in that position to do nothing but player personnel. Okay, I think that we're seeing every school do that. So my own feeling about Coach Holloway this year, last season, we saw what I consider to be the qualities of a great coach. We saw individual players improve.
Right.
We saw the team buy in, and we saw the team play well at the end of the season. To me, that's a great coaching year. If those three things happen, you've had a great year. This year, we didn't see any of that. We didn't see anybody really improve. Coleman, got a little bit better, but I don't think any of the other players really got that much better. The team did not come together. Coach Holloway was it seemed like he was fighting with the players to buy into the system all season long. So I'd have to say that this year as a coach, he did not have the best year. So I think it's reasonable to ask that question. I also think it's going to be that it's too early to make any sort of an assessment, because one year he did a tremendous job with players. They all got better. They all played well. They won the NIT. They should have been in the NCAA tournament. And this year he wasn't able to get the team to buy in. He wasn't able to find a formula. We never really figured out who was going to be in the rotation. And, the team didn't play well. So that's my assessment. What do you guys think?
I mean, Shaheen Holloway took St. Peter's to the Elite Eight. He won an NIT tournament. He got cheated out of the NCAA tournament and won an NIT tournament at Seton Hall. I think Adolph Rupp and, Joe B. Hall and whoever you want could have coached this team last year, and it would have been the same result. If Shaw coached St. John's and Patino coached Seton Hall, would have been the very similar numbers. So I don't think he forgot how to coach. I think, roster construction and talent procurement are the keys now.
Next question. Dual. How bad is it that you actually had to have surgery, miss 6 months, and still go in the portal?
I want to know what Jersey Exotics is.
Judging by the picture.
What's the exotic car?
I think cars. Judging by his picture there.
Jersey Exotics? I mean, show is PG-13, but okay.
By the way, our buddy Michael Frank has exotic cars. You might like this guy.
He
likes his cars, Michael Frank. What else we got here? Oh, your daughter said that. Hold on, I thought this was a good response. She said something about she wasn't even on the scrub team. You mentioned about. Oh yeah, Coach Magina.
Now she was much better player than she leads on to be, And I'll give her a plug since you brought it up. She's actually an all-state bowler. So, yeah, legitimately an all-state bowler. So, yeah.
Let's go. Here's Scott's dad here with his first two comments.
Hi, Mr. Jones.
So I think the problem is, unfortunately, I don't think we have enough visibility into what's really happening in terms of recruiting. So I'm on a couple of the other Big East team boards to just kind of, I guess spy is the right word.
There you go.
And, and I've seen
Paul
posts.
Justice Spy.
Yeah, that's it. I've seen posts where people are saying these are the people who visited the campus today. Do we know who's making visits to here?
Yeah, Nick Morgan walked behind somebody on campus. Yes, Nick Morgan's our spy.
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but I
Nick
did.
Morgan and Nicole's sister.
I did see Shaw with a recruit. Actually, my
There you
friend
go.
texted me from the CAF, "Hey, Shaw's here with someone," and I was on my way over, and they were actually walking out, and I walked right past them. So don't know who it was, but we are having people funnel onto campus. And yesterday I was working the Bowling Hall front desk, and I saw Brian Felt taking, I guess, his lunchtime laps around campus. He passed by like 3 times, so he's definitely on campus. I don't know what he's doing, but he's on campus. So hopefully,
I love Brian. Brian Feltz, I love him. This is all going to come out okay. Trust me.
Well, Nick, like you mentioned to privately before, like it only seems there's 1 or 2 players that we discussed, you and I, who get these scoops and no one else does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talk about some of the the upper echelon of the media covering Seton Hall.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like right. Certain things get like when something comes out. Like Jerry Carino seems whatever, but when he's getting a story, obviously he didn't show up on campus with a microscope, with a telescope or something and see who was there. He gets leaked that story. So like, why can't Bobby Blackjack ever get leaked the story?
Mm-hmm.
For the women's, I do, hopefully, but not the men's.
Okay, good. Oh yeah, well, were you the scooper on the on that Florida? Where'd that girl come from?
Yeah, well, he mentioned to me that he got her.
Okay, so did you?
Oh, by the way, he may come on next week as a guest.
Good. Yay, Tony, we love you.
He may come on next week.
Speaking of leaks, I know that Jeff Kovac, our very own, he was the one who broke the news about Coleman staying when he was on the same flight as him towards the NIT in Indianapolis.
Jeff is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He said he was in the men's room and he heard 2 guys. He was in a stall and he heard 2 guys talking and and he broke that. I don't know where Jeff but Jeff, we got to get Jeff on too. Jeff, I love Jeff.
A lot more. That's Ryan stuff there, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's
all in the air. Like nothing is going to be definite there, especially because none of it's being shared. It's all speculation. So what do we?
Nick, you want to mention what you mentioned offline or no?
It's autumn YouTube. Get your mind out of the gutter. I gotta laugh. and we're talking about Jersey Exotics. All publicity is good publicity.
We'll send you a bill for the marketing.
Yeah, there you go.
Exotics tomorrow.
Do you want to sponsor the show?
You got an invoice coming in the mail tomorrow.
Nicole and Friends, sponsored by Jersey Exotics.
No, thank you.
No, but Nick, again, before the show started, you mentioned something to me. You want to mention that about somebody not spending money or something? You want to bring that up or no?
I don't remember. What did I say?
Some on the other boards said speculation that money's not being spent.
I'd rather. Yeah.
We'll keep that quiet.
Keep that quiet.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Forget we said anything.
Christina, your daughter has a response, by the way. Which means Christina's going to love pickleball, right? Pickleball? No? All right, here we go. Great show. Wow, that 45 minutes flew, by the way, folks.
Yeah,
45 minutes in already?
Already.
I feel like we just got on.
Yeah, really.
We got a lot of listeners, a ton of comments here.
Good.
Phenomenal.
When we get this give and take, it's good. It makes for a good show.
So, all right. So we got to be at least our image right at the bottom of the Big East. What is DePaul doing? Have they done anything, Paul? Have you noticed?
So I'm looking at the 24/7 Sports overall recruiting view. And I can't share that, right? Would that be against the law or copyright or something? If I shared what I'm looking at?
You're what? No. We're analysts, right?
Okay, so I'm going to try to do this based on my great technical expertise. And this is the overall Big East look. This is from 24/7 Sports. Okay, and this is showing the commits. These are both people from the portal and high school recruits. And if you go through, you see UConn has three 5-star recruits. And we think I mentioned that there was a kid from Georgia, and they have a couple of kids coming in from high school. Providence has a bunch of guys coming in from I kind of went through that. And here we are, happily sitting in 10th out of 10 in the Big East with our 2 commits. DePaul has 5 guys coming in, but none of them are considered particularly great. Xavier has a whole bunch of players coming in, but they've also lost a whole bunch of good players. Yeah. And this is really when you look at UConn, and I'll just click on them for a second, you see that they've Braylon Mullins from is a 5-star recruit from high school, and then they've got Silas DeMary Jr. is a very good player from Georgia. What this doesn't show you is that Caravan and McNeely are both going into the NBA draft. So Solo Ball of their big 3 is the only guy who's coming back for another season.
What about Caravan?
So this is I think Solo Ball is a great player, but I think he's going to be a very, very good player next year. So they've got us sitting down at the bottom of the league. And I don't know, again, I don't think we know. And I will cancel this. And I'm going to stop sharing. Let me see how I can do that. And I think I could do it right. All right, so what do we see? Are we seeing the right thing now? Or did I screw up our whole show?
I don't see the screen.
Okay. So
you're good. No, nothing changed.
Okay, great. So the bottom line is that we've got to, there's so many players in the portal. It's a little bit too early to say that, the window's closing.
No.
But we are behind the other teams of the conference.
Paul, speaking of UConn, and I know you're plugged in up there, what about Danny? Is Danny going to Dallas?
Denver.
So I saw an article in
Denver. Sorry.
I saw an article in NJ.com that said he wasn't interested.
Really?
I think plus his stock is probably a little bit lower this year because they didn't have as good a year as they thought. But this actually was something that Bobby said last week, that he thought someday Danny Hurley would be our coach. And I think that the way we will get him is through the pros. And I don't think he would leave UConn to come down here. But I do think he might go to the NBA sometime, coach there for 4 or 5 years. NBA coaches are hired to get fired. So, right. And then I could imagine him at that point coming back down to Seton Hall. So, maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, we might be looking at Danny Hurley as our coach.
Because I said it before on my own shows and here as well. Who's considered the god right now of Seton Hall coaches? PJ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Honey Russell.
Well, I'm thinking modern times because he got us to the precipice of a national championship. The Phantom
Call.
Call.
PJ got killed by our boosters, by our supporters his last few years here? PJ could have gone to Kentucky, but stayed. And then, we had a 1 down year. He yelled at some kid on TV, Asef Barnia. It was like, whatever on NCAA tournament. And then they all went after PJ with their pitchforks.
So what I'm saying is, all right, the point I'm making is that PJ is like the god of coaches for getting us close, right? Phantom Call. We could have been the national championship.
Yeah.
All right. So, but we didn't get there yet. So if someone was to finally bring our little tiny Catholic school in South Orange, New Jersey, a championship, there will be a statue next to the pirate when you walk into Walsh Gym. And Danny Hurley has the type of positive ego that he would want that for his legacy. His family is North Jersey legends, right? him being in Connecticut is great, but where is he true and true? He's a Hudson County, Essex County, North Jersey player. Dad, greatest coach, high school coach ever was. He comes back here. We win a championship, and he's God.
I mean, his son graduated Seton Hall. His wife graduated Seton Hall. Yeah, he loves Seton Hall. There's no doubt about that. That would be amazing if he could ever. But right now, Shah's our coach. We have faith in Shah. Yep. We love Shah. No one, but down the road, I think what you were saying. Yeah.
Yep, down the road. What we're seeing now is obviously, like Paul said, we finished 7-22 last year. That is not attracting anybody in the portal, it seems, because they're not looking at the body of work. They're looking at the one season of poo-poo-ness, and it doesn't seem to translate to the portal this year. We're not getting, it seems, anybody. What happened to Nas Cunningham? Nothing, right? He fell off the earth again. So he's staying.
To Tom O'Brien's comment that just got posted, I was under the impression, and Nicole, I think you knew this well, that the portal when the portal closes, that means no one else can enter it.
It's still open.
But you have as much time as those guys want before they sign somebody. So we don't have to get 5 guys in the next 3 or 4 days.
No.
And we're not going to lose any more players because everybody we got is already in the portal.
Exactly.
I think what Tom's saying is that once the portal closes, no one else is waiting to see who goes into the portal, and then everyone's going to start signing.
Yes, and there was a question about R.J. Lewis, and he wanted to see where he ended up in the draft, but he went into the draft with the idea that he could keep his eligibility. I believe Sorber did the same thing.
Right.
And it might be possible that those guys don't like where they're going to be drafted, don't go into the, back off from that. And then all of a sudden they become available again. So again, we going to be interesting to see what happens. Right now we got 2 guards in Godswell. So
three guards in Godswell.
And the big kid, we have the 7'4" kid. He's still there?
Well, and if you count walk-ons, David Gabriel and the 7'4" kid.
Yeah, I think he's still there, yeah.
Speaking of the not WNBA, the MNBA draft, a Duke freshman not named Cooper Flagg has declared officially for the draft. Non Knuckle, I think was his name.
They haven't gone to Brooklyn. No. Yeah, but by the way, what's everybody's thoughts? I mentioned this before. Chris, I know here Chris and Nick's point. The quarterback from Tennessee all of a sudden backing out. Any thoughts about that? Like, this is the world we're in now.
Yeah, well, because when I saw that happen, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but Tennessee pulled away his NIL or something.
He decided in spring practice before the spring game, him and his representatives they have agents now, right? So I need an agent, by the way. Everybody's interested. Anyway, they decided, what? Our quarterback, Nico, whatever his name is, we brought Tennessee to the college football playoffs last year. You know what? You're offering us 4. We want 8 to stay. And the coach called his bluff and said no player is bigger than the program itself. And now he's in the portal.
Good for him.
And that's what it should have been. Because, again, I cannot name you a player that should even deserve to get close to that. Again, it's college. I get it. Players want their money and all that. But you're not getting that. The fact that they had the audacity to even ask for that much, that to me is all right. That's just a test on the guy's character, and that's not a guy that I would want in that locker room at least. Because the way I look at it, let's say again he asked for $8 million, he didn't get the $8 million. He sticks with the money he has and plays out the season. He then is now in that locker room. All the players know he asked for that money, and they're all looking at him like, how selfish can you be when that's the only thing you want is that much money? So, again, I think Tennessee's doing the right thing in that sense, letting him go. But, again, to ask for $8 million, in my eyes, is unknown. I would not even expect it.
Chris, here's the thing now. An agent is telling him he's worth $8 million. His whoever relative, Uncle Charlie, is telling him he's worth $8 million. So he thinks he's worth $8 million. So he's testing the market. But, again, the market determines what you're worth. right? If someone's willing to pay you $8 million, you're worth $8 million.
And let's not forget, said agent gets 10%, 20% of that $8 million. So of course you want to bump that up.
Well,
Real quick. Oh, sorry, quick. 1 second. We all know, and I know a few of them myself. I'm also, I don't know. I'm friendly with what's his name's agent, the Giants quarterback there, the Italian kid. Anyway,
Tommy DeVito.
yeah. So I know a few agents. They're all legit agents who went through the process. Are these NIL agents?
I guess they
Or
have
are
to
they
be. If you're
street agents
representing
like,
no, Chris Jones is shaking it. They're not.
I think it's especially if you want to bring up Tommy DeVito's agent. I mean, when you look at him, he's doing what he's doing on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to bring attention towards him. When you walk out on the field in a green suit, you're not there for Tommy DeVito. You're not. You are there for yourself. That is all you're there for. And clearly it's worked because he's gotten the attention, he's gotten the money, he's doing it all. So clearly it's working, but there are some guys that don't look out for the players as best as they could. And I think he's one of them.
But these NIL agents, are they regulated? Are they certified? Is there a certification for NIL? Or me and Michael Frank joked last year about doing that in the Inquirer's page.
Are they glorified AAU coaches? I mean, what are? Yeah.
And we all know our favorite shooter from the NIT had a street agent. The guy looked like what's his name? The rapper Jones, whatever. But the street agents are out there. But are these guys glorified street agents? And are they regulated? Are they certified? Or are they just opening up a little office like this and saying, "Hey, come to me.
So,
I'll
Bobby,
negotiate your contract for you"?
Bobby, one of the things you asked, are they certified? Who certifies agents? The NFL certifies player agents for their players. So does Major League Baseball. So does the NBA. So does the NHL. So in order to become a player agent, you have to get certified by the league that you're going to be negotiating with. Okay. I don't believe that the NCAA has ever certified agents. So can't imagine how these guys could possibly be certified.
Right.
If I was 10 years younger, baby. If I was 10 years younger, I'd do it. Jerry Maguire, baby.
But by the way, the coach at Tennessee, I mean, his comments were, I don't know whether I saw was real or fake or something like that. But he made it. I mean, one of the comments was, "I've spent the last year trying to explain people how to pronounce the guy's name." So he was, the quote was really, really brutal.
I have a question, and a lot of people have been saying this on our Facebook page, and it's to Nick Morgan. Are you going to try out for Flagman?
I mean, I can. If that's what the people want, I can try.
Try out. Nicole wants you to try out. What's the worst that could happen?
There you go. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, maybe we'll see you out there next year. Maybe part of the booster club.
Yeah, there you go. You get hey, that guy got NIL money, that Flagman guy. So yeah.
So Nick, you get that position, and you know where I sit, right? We'll do a little thing together on the court right before the games. It'll be great. I love it. Let's go.
I'll get the custom jersey instead of Flagman on the back. I'll put the Seton Hall Facebook group on there.
There you go.
A little QR code. People can scan it to join us. I'm running around doing laps with the flag.
The latest
our sponsor, exotic vehicles or whatever. So you can.
There you go. So we're not only marketing our own program, we're making it bigger. So Exotics is now going to, rep Flagman as well. We love it. See, we're a full team here. We're a full team. By the way, who was the Flagman? What was his name, by the way? The last Flagman. Anybody know his real name?
I see him on campus on like a daily basis.
Yes, Joe.
Joe
I always laugh. He wore the same champion shorts every time he did something. Champions should sponsor him for that because he had those signature workout champion shorts he wore every time he did the loops. So go for it, Nick. I got your back.
I want Nick Morgan to try, and then I want him to come in and tell us what the tryouts were like.
All right.
Yeah, Bill Hathaway wants you to try.
All right.
Here we go, Jersey. We got a response here. Here we go. See, we are now.
We got a
NIL
sponsor.
agents. We're official agents now. See, we're negotiating deals here.
There we go. You guys all get a cut.
Oh, he did, Kara. He did, right?
Sorry,
he said
Kara.
right?
He did. He did.
Yes, he did. They were
Not
selling
as,
his jersey.
not as much as that kid from what school was that? The kid with the boombox.
McNeese.
Oh,
Yeah.
McNeese.
Who went with the coach to
Yes.
the new school, by the way.
Yep. He transferred.
He's the first student manager to ever get an NIL deal.
Oh boy. Yes, he did. Yes, he
Yes,
did.
Mrs. Jones, yes, a flagman can get NIL money.
Hi, Lisa.
I don't know about getting paid, but he can get NIL money.
They were selling his jersey on the Onward Setonia website.
There you go.
Flagman on the back, number
Wait a
0.
minute. If
So
Flagman can get NIL money, why can't somebody in a band like Nick get NIL? Come on, you're official college. We have an official function on campus.
Yeah, I mean, I do get scholarship. I'm one of the few kids in the band that get a scholarship, so that I do have it going for me there. But like cheer and dance, they don't get any sort of anything. They don't have any deals. They don't have any scholarships that run through for athletics or for the Sapphires or for the cheer team. So it's just doing it all for support and out of love of Seton Hall basketball.
Back in the crazy days of Walsh, and William Hathaway knows this, when Walsh was a zoo and they had a masked cymbals player, okay? And he got a lot of TV time, the unknown cymbals player. So, I don't know, a little gimmick for you. He would get NIL money now.
All right, so we have to get Nick a little.
Nicole, say hi to Mrs. Jones.
Hi, Lisa.
Oh, Lisa. Okay.
First name basis.
First name basis. Okay.
All right, so here we go.
Hanging out at the Borgata. Okay.
Oh, my
Bobby and I didn't get the invite, but that's okay.
Oh, I was hanging out at Borgata, all right, with a certain celebrity.
All right, tell your story. I know you're.
Yeah, go on. Go
story.
for
Let's
it. Go.
This is Russian pro dancer Gleb Shevchenko, and my aunt and I were in the lobby, and him and the whole cast just happened to walk by, and he's my favorite.
What were they doing there, Nicole? Why were they there?
They were performing. I went to the show.
You went to? Oh my God!
I went in January, and I went on Saturday because I loved it so much.
Awesome.
It's funny because I was literally telling Nick, imagine if I run into him and meet him, and then literally like 5 minutes later, I'm messaging him like, "You're not gonna believe what just happened," and I sent him this picture. But like, holy crap. I told him, like, you're my favorite pro. And he was like, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And then he even took a picture with me.
So guess what? When I saw that picture, it was one of two avenues I had to take. I saw the name. The name was Russian. So he was either an NHL player or he was a dancer.
I thought he was an NHL player. I was certain he was an NHL player.
That's funny because everyone's like, oh, I would assume that you'd go for the hockey players. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I do like hockey players, but I like Gleb too. But can you believe he is 41 years old? He does not look 41. He looks 25.
I agree.
Crazy. But he was so sweet. He even waved to me when he was leaving.
So our goal this offseason is to figure out how we're getting Duncan Nick Morgan something special, either NIL money, flagman, or something he's going to wear that he's going to stand out for us. You know, and maybe like a glowing, like lights on it with a QR code to our group.
Wait, I just know how we could tie this whole conversation together in a nice little bow. Nick Morgan goes to the tryouts with Blackjack Bobby as his agent. There you go.
Let's go. Let's do it.
And then we live streaming on the page. Nicole could handle the media. And
Chris could do the SU report before he goes. One last one. Before he goes. I love it.
We got a plan.
What else is going on? Any other topics there, team? You know, real quick, I've always said throughout the years, I love, especially now, because now we reached NBA playoff season, right? I love the TNT crew. You know, Barkley, Shaq, the other two there, right? I think they would do well even doing football, right? They're entertaining.
Yes, they're entertaining. That's the key.
So I'm thinking next Thursday night, we take a step back, our team, and we review the whole first round of the NFL draft with our real take on it. What do you think? Paul?
Well, I'd have to study up. I've never been a draft guy, but I could certainly take a look at it.
Wait, Matt Palm's flagman go the pledge money? I think you got another supporter, Nick Morgan. Matt Palm's
All
the
right,
Nick Morgan
pressure's
fan.
on.
By the way, Bobby, do you know the story of the NFL draft getting on television? From what I've read, when ESPN went to Pete Rozelle and said, we want to broadcast the draft, Rozelle told them no. He said, there's nothing to broadcast. It's a conference call. We just set up a conference bridge. We don't have a place. The guys are just in the room. They tell us who they want to pick, and that's it. And the folks at ESPN at the time didn't have any NFL properties at all. And they said, we got to get an NFL logo and an ESPN logo on the screen at the same time. And if the only thing that you haven't sold to CBS and NBC is the draft, we'll take it. And they actually invented the draft as a, it's on NFL Network now, but those guys invented the draft as programming because the NFL didn't even think anybody would. Not that anybody wouldn't watch it. There wasn't anything to watch.
What was ESPN the first that covered that broadcast? Because I remember that with Boomer and them. Yeah.
The ESPN they had to invent a way to cover it because there wasn't. Again, it wasn't being held anywhere. It was all the GMs would be in their offices. They'd all have a speakerphone, and they'd pick the players. There wasn't a thing. And of all the things ESPN did, good or bad, you have to give them credit for inventing the NFL draft.
It's interesting that you bring that up because the NHL, I believe this year, is implementing a change to their draft structure where they're not going to have like a hub city to meet in. They're just going to do the draft from their home cities and like not have like a whole show, which I don't really like because I think that's like a big moment. But
so they're going back. They're going backwards then.
They're going backwards.
Well, the other thing I always find comical is that there are draft experts who evaluate the draft and which teams had great drafts and which team had poor drafts, and nobody's taken a snap in the NFL yet.
Right.
So I kind of like to think that we ought to be evaluating the 2023 draft this year.
Or 22 draft.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now we can actually take a look at how they did.
Well, you know what? Kyra's got a good point there because the way it's going, NCAA is basically semi-pro now. Oh, by the way, I heard some whispers say Cooper Flag might be staying, folks. Have you heard that?
I mean, the ESPN had him going as the first pick.
Yeah, first overall.
Why would he? What's left to do at Duke?
Make more money.
I was going to say money.
Money.
You think that he can make more money at Duke than as a number one pick in the draft? Yes. I mean, I could see a stick around
maybe.
Yes, I think
he'll get the same endorsement deals, right?
I think the number one bonus money you get would be great. He might not be able to, he'll top that or match that maybe in NCAA money. But if he falls off in the NBA and can't sign a significant contract after his minimum's up, I think long term he might be better off sticking in college 3-4 years, maybe not being number one pick, but then still making it to the draft.
Walking away with $5 million for 3 years more at Duke, and then taking his chances.
Yeah.
By the way, ESPN NCAA basketball broadcaster Daryl Jacobs is now watching the show right now. So Daryl, we got to have you on as a guest one day, my friend. He does a lot of the games around the country for men's and women's NCAA. Thanks for watching, Daryl.
It was funny.
Hey, Daryl, what's up?
It was funny, too, because when I was watching the WNBA draft the other day, they were talking about how a ton of, top 10 players actually pulled their selection from the draft because they're going to do an extra year in college. Yeah. And that also brings up the reason why, because they'll make more money with one extra year of college than they will with the starting base salary in the WNBA.
Exactly.
And if you notice the WNBA draft as well, I want to make this comment before. It's only about a dozen or so schools, right, that they're coming from.
Yeah.
There's not a wide range of colleges in the women's game where
international.
Between that and about maybe a dozen colleges, if that, It just seems like while the men's game could get players to everybody. Great story about that is a kid Clayton from Florida who was at Iona with Bettino, because of his play in the tournament and winning the national championship, is now a potential lottery pick. Where before the tournament he was maybe day 2, round 2.
Well, keep in mind the WNBA only has 12 teams, right? So yeah.
Oh yeah, not
they don't. It's not the NFL. It's not major. They don't have a lot of teams. So and the draft goes rather quickly.
Yeah, and
Bobby, I'm sorry.
They recently implemented a 3rd round. It only used to be 2 rounds for the WNBA draft. Now there's 3. And I only know that because Gino brought that up during his press.
And Bob, one of the things I actually think the women's game would be better served if the NCAA had an invitational tournament for the top 16 teams in the women's game, and then had March Madness for everybody else. Because I think that there is a drop off right around the top 15, maybe 20 teams in terms of talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you're, we saw the Seton Hall women do pretty well in the women's
BIT.
BIT. And I think that they could have done better in a tournament like that. But that's the way the talent is right now in the women's game, and it's
always been like that. And if for whatever reason in women's basketball, there's a big disparity in talent from the top 10. Even UConn, we're blowing. I mean, they won a national championship game by like almost 30 points. They were blowing teams out all year. It's just that's the way it is.
No, I agree, but it has. I mean, when UConn first got good, there were 5 or 6 teams.
Yeah,
UConn, Stanford, Notre Dame, Rutgers. That was it. And Tennessee. And now there is a little bit more depth, and I think that the women's game is getting better. And that would actually give you a chance to aspire. I want to be in the top 16. I want to be in the real tournament, and it might raise the whole game.
But Bobby had asked the question.
Good point.
That's a great point. Bobby had asked the question last week about, should UConn leave the Big East because, they're dominating everything. And we said, well, they play a strong out-of-conference schedule. But if you're Seton Hall and you're recruiting, and I know we love Coach Boz, but don't you want to get the player who wants to go, who has a chip on their shoulder? I want to play against UConn. I want to knock UConn off. I want to be that next-tier player to make a statement against UConn. So I think that's a huge recruiting thing by having UConn in the Big East, because one of these days, we will, mark my word, and hopefully Paul and I are live when this happens, and Paul will see it. We will knock off Gino, and Gino will have to walk up to Coach Boz, shake his hand, and say, "Good game, Coach, you beat me." We would love to see that. And that may happen. You never know, right? It's sports. They play the game.
Well, and I also think that the quality of the league is very important for the quality of the program.
Yes, right.
And, I think it's important. I think Willard at Villanova is good for the league. So it'll be good for Seton Hall.
Yep.
Same thing with Danny Hurley and UConn. Same thing with Patino at St. John's. And, I don't want to be the A-10.
No.
And, UConn and a couple of schools leave, and that's what we are. So,
by the way, I think we missed this last week. Any thoughts on Creighton McDermott with a 2-year plan to get out?
Genuinely.
I was just going to say, don't forget Creighton. Creighton has really, in the history of the new Big East, Creighton has been up there every year. I mean, he gets good kids. Connor, he gets very good players. So, I don't know, right? Is he getting burnt out? Is he looking? He's not looking to go somewhere else, right? He wants to retire, be with his grandchildren or whatever.
I think he has a 2-year plan, and they brought in.
60 years old.
They brought in a very successful coach.
60.
Okay.
A young man.
Yeah.
They brought in a very successful coach this year to be number 2 to groom as his successor. So
yeah, that's smart.
He's got a plan.
There's actually one last thought. What we're seeing now is the professionalization of college sports, right? I mean, that's what's happening. I don't remember a lot of coaches. There have been a lot of coaches who've gone from the college game to the professional game, and some have come back. But I don't know too many coaches who started in the pros and then went down to college. And I'm thinking now that the
Patino.
skill set. I mean, Patino went from Providence to the Knicks to Kentucky to the Celtics to
From
Louisville.
Boston College to Boston College first.
Oh, he was at Boston College
He was
before
at BC,
Providence.
yeah.
Okay.
Or no, BU. I'm sorry, BU.
Oh, that's right.
BU.
But I wonder if you need professional experience now to be a coach, to be a college coach.
Bill Belichick, right? That's Bill Belichick's plan.
I'm fascinated by that, by the way. I'm fascinated to see what he's going to do in Carolina.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by his 19-year-old girlfriend, but
she's younger than his players, right?
That's a completely different story. Yeah, I mean, he's younger than his granddaughter, but God bless him.
By the way, look at when we finish the show in a few moments, go to CBS.com, go to ESPN. Something bizarre happened in Carolina world between the Belichicks today. So,
wait, between the Belichicks?
Yes, something to do with his son and her.
Oh God!
So you gotta check out on that. Wow. Duncan Nick Morgan, what's up? You've been quiet today. What's on your mind?
No, I was going to ask you guys a question as we're kind of going to the portal and for Shaheen. Would you guys want to see, as we're kind of trying to round out a team and just get players in general, do we want more of like what Amari writes with the women's team and stay the course for 5 years? Are we trying to attract those players right now, or are we just trying to attract 1 or 2 year star guys to be just better than last year and try to get that fan base out? Like, what do you guys want, and what do you think Shaheen wants right now? Because it's going to be hard to keep players in general, but what do you think the angle is that Shaheen's taking? Is he looking long-term, or is he looking to just bounce back from this past year and just be a 12-plus win, 13-plus win team next year just to say he got better and try to boost it for the following season?
I mean, it's hard to look long-term, right? Because if you get a kid in and a kid does really well and we became at 16, 17, and that kid is now thinks his worth, and Uncle Charlie or whoever is telling him he's worth $2 million, so, and someone will give it to him. So yeah, it's hard to be consistent.
Here's an example. A couple of years back, remember, what was that, Loyola Chicago, right? That team?
With the nun, right?
With the nun, right?
With sister, yeah.
She's still alive, 105 years old, I believe.
I always thought, like, when I was taught in school, Catholic school or whatever, when you pray, you don't pray to win, right? You pray to be safe.
Yes.
Sister was praying, God, please let us win this game.
So my point is that a school like that was successful quite a few years because they were a school who would attract the 3-4 year players.
Right.
What killed the NCAA this year, I think we mentioned this before, is that wasn't the Sweet 16? Everybody,
right?
There was no Cinderellas this year.
Nope.
Because NIL kind of ruined that.
Because those players all moved up.
They all move out and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
There was a time when the big schools were all doing the one and done, so they were getting the high school kids, and they would compete against a less talented group of seniors. Yes, like Loyola,
and lose.
And those 23-year-old men would beat the 19-year-old kids, even though the 19-year-old kids were a little bit better. Yes. But to answer Nick's question, I don't think that anybody can plan for more than one season at this point.
No.
What I do hope Shaheem is looking for is guys that are going to fit into his defensive system, guys he's not going to have to scream at every day to go out and guard the perimeter. And, basically try to find players that are going to play the way he wants them to play.
He supposedly wants to implement a matchup zone that Willard did for a while with us. And I guess he's looking for the right players. And last year he didn't have players to play the matchup.
Yes. And I think if he can get guys who are going to play his style of play, his game, that'll be an improvement. Okay, as opposed to just grabbing the most talented kids, going trying to find 4 or 5 bargains in the portal that we could afford that are going to not play. Because again, as we were talking before, when we were talking about Coach Holloway, this past season he could not turn that team into a cohesive unit. Right, in last week of February, and it was still like watching a game of 21 in a schoolyard. So, that's what I would be looking for if I were him. Guys who I don't have to, who I can get to play in the system, be it a matchup zone or a full court press, whatever he wants to do, and play my style.
But
If I
just
can't do
remember
that,
what I said, though. The game is about 3-point shooting.
yes.
You've got to get 3-point shooters. Yep.
By the way, what's everybody's thought about what was his name? Toomey going to the portal again. Is he 26 now? 25? How old is he?
25, I think. I could double check.
But here's my point I want to make. I was waiting to make this all night before we end the show. Like someone like that, what's he on? Is 15 now? 14?
Well, he was at junior college for a while.
Okay. So he junior college, he's on his third, fourth, 15, 25 years old. There's got to be some type of ruling that says, hey, if you're at some point you got to get a degree, right? And if you're going to go use up your eligibility, right, and not graduate with a degree from some university, then you got to give some of that money back. Like it's something like that has to be in place to stop this. Let's keep bouncing every year to a different school. At some point, what's that?
I'm sorry, go on.
At some point, you got to stay 2 years somewhere and get a degree.
Yeah,
Yep.
but yet, and Coach Tom posted this before. NCAA highest graduation rate ever, 91%. And I think that's because guys are staying 5 years, right? Like you go somewhere 5-6 years, you have to have a degree. You would think, right? I mean, Nicole would have 3 degrees if she went to a school for 5 years, but you know.
I have 3 majors and 4.
There you go. See, there you go.
So I want to know, and I don't know if Tom is still out there listening. There was a long time ago, the graduation rates were for players who stayed 4 years at a school.
Right.
And so when the NCAA says they've got a 91% graduation rate for athletes, do we know if it's like, if it's even applying to guys who are changing schools every year? Like I'd like to know a little bit more about what that 91% means.
Yeah, that should be broken down by sport, right? So I'm pretty sure the swim team has 100% graduation rate.
Yeah.
Right, but these football and basketball schools, I'm sure, is not a lot less than that. But yeah, the swim teams, the tennis teams, and sports like that are bringing the number up.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I wonder, guys who have stayed here, when a guy comes to Seton Hall for his senior year and plays a year, is he getting a degree awarded to him at the end of that year if he's a senior, or is, I don't know, if the credits transfer, if the majors line up, you can have enough credits to graduate but not have anything to major in, so. I had some friends in high school who got caught in this thing where they changed majors so many times that they couldn't get enough. They had a zillion credits, but not enough to get a degree.
Right, because they wouldn't transfer over to those other programs.
And then the what do you call it would change. Sometimes the requirements would change, and they'd have to go back and get a prereq that they didn't have. So, and that was within one school.
Yeah.
I mean, Seton Hall graduates players. Kadari graduated from Seton Hall. Lauren Park Lane graduated from Seton Hall. I don't know what happens when they go somewhere else, what postgraduate degree they get, but when they go to Seton Hall, they do graduate and have a degree.
I think that's the thing, too, that we're going to see, though, is like post Kadari and post Lauren. These guys are only going to stay at Seton Hall mostly 1 year. So are they going to graduate? Like, especially if they do 1 year at a different school each time and then they finish at Seton Hall. Are they getting a degree from Seton Hall?
Right. Is Dylan gonna? I guess Dylan here as for his master's.
I think so.
This was
Dylan
his last
graduated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was his 5th year. So yeah.
But I mean, like in the sense though of like, oh, this player. Let's just take me for example. If I was a basketball player in college, I go to Tennessee 1 year, then I transfer and go to Louisville my sophomore year. But then I decide to go to Iowa my 3rd year, and then I decide to finish at Seton Hall my senior year.
Are you Haley Van Lith?
No, I'm not, but that's my perfect example right there. But she obviously did it.
Right.
But But with someone that's staying only 1 year at each school, are you going to finish with that degree, even though
Are those
each
credits
school-
going to transfer, right?
Because those
Yeah.
schools are obviously going to have different requirements on what a business degree is.
Absolutely.
So that's the biggest question now, at least from my end.
Two things here too. Like one, Seton Hall in itself has the core requirements. You have to take 3 religion classes. It's one freshman or sophomore or junior year. So right there, that's 60% or maybe 80% of an athlete's schedule for one semester. Yep. If you have to take all 3 to catch up all 3 to graduate from Seton Hall. And then 2, I think also we touched on it a couple shows ago, but like senior night's going to be so different. Like this year, the only real senior that we honored was Dylan Adewusu. This is his 2nd year. He had the most time with us at senior night. Like that's going to become less and less important, I think, and less valuable because it's going to be guys that are coming in for 1 year, possibly 2 to end their senior night. And like, it's not going to be as big of a deal as it's going to be for like this, the pep band and like the dance team, cheer team who's been there the 4 years and they get honored too at halftime. But the players pregame, it's going to be like, all right, whoop-de-doo. We saw you for 3 months play at Seton Hall. Now you get, your senior night. And go on and do whatever's next.
Yeah,
that's an outstanding point.
I was going to say that. Yeah, it's very awkward because, like, hey, we hardly knew you. Hey, thank you for your. I don't know, what would you do? You came here for a year. Wow. Yay. Good point. By the way, any comments on Kara's point?
That's a good question.
Her NIL money level is what the market is willing to pay her. So if Vanderbilt has a great swim team and wants to take that player, yeah. But who knows? I don't know what the swim market is worth.
I think she means like is Seton Hall giving her NIL money for what she's doing.
Right. And if not, she can go in the portal and see what's out there, right?
Right. Now, again, the guideline for the football schools was of the $20 million of revenue sharing, they were going to split it up, $15 million to the football team, right? That's 75%, and then it was going to be $5 million each to the women's basketball team, the men's basketball team, and $5 million for all the other athletes. And every athlete has to get a taste. So if Seton Hall were to follow that, she would get some NIL money.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were joking before, maybe enough to buy, a new set of swim goggles. It wouldn't be, it wouldn't be a deal that was keeping her from competing at, in some professional capacity. The way, Cooper Flagg is talking about, staying at Duke because he can make more money in college.
Bobby, Nicole, Paul, Chris, Nick, maybe when you guys know this, my wife and I were out to dinner and we were talking about with this settlement, they're going back to pay players. How far back do they go? What graduating class? Anybody know? Oh,
I can look that up.
Yeah, there's a certain limit, but you have to opt into it. And a lot of players opted out of it too.
Oh, people who've already graduated.
Yes. You have
to opt into it.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
So we gotta find Romaro Gill and see how much did he get, or is he getting?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me check to see if I can find something. Oh, and by the way, there's a whole bunch of law firms that now specialize in you putting in for getting your money.
There you go.
It looks like 2016.
Okay, the graduating class, interesting, of 2016.
So the Nova championship team.
There you go.
Wasn't the guy that got the game-winning shot the one who brought up this
and that guy's name is Chris Jenkins.
I would not know that.
Yes, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
Nicole keeps saying she doesn't know sports. Meanwhile, New Mexico State against Air Force, CBS, 2:30 in the morning, Nicole's watching it. Come on.
That's only because there's nothing else on it. I want to watch basketball.
2016 is the year we won the Big East Championship, right?
Yes, it is. Bobby and I were on the court. Or I wasn't. Bobby was on the court.
I was on the court, yeah.
I got close to being on the court.
I didn't start following until Powell's junior year. That's kind of, it's literally right there. That's part of why I'm even a Pirate to begin with.
Yes, sir. April 3rd, 1989. What does that mean to you?
The day we lost the championship. That's the only thing I know, though.
She's learning. She's learning. All right.
And why did we lose it, Nicole? Why did we lose it?
Because the refs are terrible.
The worst call in the history of college
Worst
basketball.
call
I love it.
Any sport, I think.
Oh, and Kara, just one last piece of trivia. What they keep calling this is the House settlement.
Yeah.
And the lawsuit was House versus the NCAA. House himself was a swimmer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's again another piece of my mind is a cesspool of knowledge, and this is something else that'll just I could keep in there.
All right, folks, we get to an hour and a half. I think we should wrap it up. Any more topics? Nick? Yankees won?
Yeah, Yankees won 4-3. Cody Bellinger had a nice diving catch there at the end to end the game and to save the game-tying run probably from scoring. One last quick topic with the WNBA draft. Assuming are we good for like a couple more minutes?
Yeah, go.
So Cheyenne Sellers obviously just got drafted out to San Francisco, and congrats to her and Faith for their engagement. But now, like, does this change the landscape of next year? Maybe Faith being a GA coach for Seton Hall, does she go out west, and is she no longer a part of?
Let me say something real quick.
Yeah.
Faith has been posting on TikTok like crazy about Cheyenne getting drafted. She's currently in.
Yes.
Was it
Out, they were at the Warriors game yesterday. She just posted about In-N-Out Burger, so she's already out west with Cheyenne.
Yeah, she's already out there with them.
Obviously, it's early, but does now Faith not come back next year for the women's team to be a GA coach? Does she follow Cheyenne over out to California? Like, what do you,
Yeah.
what do you think that looks like?
I just put two and two together. I saw your post, Nicole, about Faith. I
Yeah.
thought another Faith you're talking about. Okay, cool.
No, it's very funny because after the draft happened, my TikTok feed has just been full of nothing but Faith's videos. It's insane. I started following her now. Like, that's all she's been posting is like, they call it WAG content. Like, I want to show you what Cheyenne got in her gift box from the WNBA. Oh, let me take you on our trip to the Golden State Warriors game and the box suite that they gave her and Caitlin Chen. Like, she's been literally videoing the whole thing. It's actually pretty cool.
I think also Adrian Griffin's daughter got drafted too, right?
Yes, she got drafted.
Was she the one from UConn?
Yes.
Yep, she got drafted last.
He's got.
And when Paige got drafted and had her speech, she said,
Yep,
I
she
hope
said
that they get.
She
That's why
said it.
Nicole and I love Paige.
She said it.
Yep.
There was a video circulating on social media too when they announced Caitlin Chen. She was doing Paige was doing a media thing, and she heard all the screaming, and she's like, "Did they draft Caitlin?" And she was like, "Yeah, let's go!" But she's literally autographing something. It was so cool. She literally ran back into the thing with the media people following behind her just to
How
go.
can you not love Paige? Come
I know,
on.
she's awesome. She's awesome.
Yes.
Has Adrian Griffin been mentioned as an assistant GM for Seton Hall?
I think Bobby mentioned it.
No. But you know what though? I was just gonna say he's laughing, right? He's actually probably feeling a little better right now because don't forget he got unceremoniously dumped last year.
He got
Right?
snubbed.
And then recently, two coaches who had their team on the precipice of the playoffs got fired, including Mike Malone, who's a
Great
Jersey
coach.
guy, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Gets fired a week before the playoffs. So somewhere, I feel better for Adrian Griffin that he's not the only one who gets dumped with a winning team.
Vicious game.
Yep.
Well, again, I want to congratulate Chris on the new job. We'll all be expecting tickets to the in one of the luxury boxes for all the Giants Jets games. And if Bruce comes around again and does a final stadium tour, we'll be looking for those too.
Wait, Paul, you're a Bruce fan?
I have a list of musical bucket lists, and one is to see Bruce Springsteen play a large venue in New Jersey.
Wait, you haven't done that? You haven't
I
done
have
that?
not done that. No, I have never seen Bruce Springsteen play. Actually, the only time I've ever seen him play, he was a guest to Billy Joel's concert in Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
But if I was ever going to see, I'm not a huge fan of Springsteen's music, but if I wanted to see him, I would want to see him at MetLife Stadium, or he never played PNC, but I want to see him in the Garden State.
I saw him greatest concert I was ever at, Harry's Roadhouse in Asbury Park at his Christmas concert. So, I saw him in a small venue in New Jersey. So yeah.
That must have been amazing.
My first concert ever, 1984, Born in the USA tour, Giant Stadium.
I was there.
Hi, Lisa.
My greatest concert I ever saw.
Hello.
My greatest concert I ever saw at Giant Stadium, Hell Freezes Over tour, the Eagles.
Oh, I did not
got
see
back
that.
together.
Well, I have a.
What do we have here?
So I'm going to throw this out for next week. One of the things I always ask my friends is, if you had the ability to go see a concert, not an act, but a concert at a date and a venue, and obviously Woodstock's too easy for people of our generation. But if you could go to a single show, which show would it be?
That happened?
That happened. I've had people tell me, my daughter was the Ariana Grande concert in Manchester after when everybody came in, when she was after the bombing, she did a concert in Manchester, UK, and that's my daughter's. I have people who wish they were at the Elvis concert in Honolulu. There are people who wish they were at the MTV Music Awards when Michael Jackson did the moonwalk for the first time. Mine is the rooftop concert at the Apple Studios when the Beatles came out and performed essentially the Let It Be album. So maybe we could talk about this at the end of next week's show. If there was one show that you would have wanted to be at, what would it have been?
Once the season really dies down in a few weeks, we're going to do an off the topic show.
I think we do plenty of off the topic.
Off the rails.
I think that's what makes our
that could be the title. Off the rails.
Not all.
Well, folks, I'm sorry. Again, it's a school night for me.
All
so
right.
I'm going to have to wish you guys a fond adieu. Thank you, guys. Thank Bobby for hosting the show and everybody who added through the chat and everything. It was great. It was great.
Big response today. Big response.
Talk to you next week.
Yep. Happy Easter.
Peace out. Happy Easter.
Yeah, by the way, I'm 10 minutes from the Woodstock site right now. So that's where the resort's located. Yeah, all right. I think we had an awesome show. We have numerous people to thank. Kara for their responses. Matt Palms, of course, the Joneses. Jersey Exotics, your invoice will be in the mail tomorrow. The captain, Tom Eccles, and Ryan Brindley. A lot of good points today.
Ryan was fired up.
Tom O'Brien.
Tom made some great points.
Your daughter, of course, with a few comments here. So thank you for, this is keeping us going longer. James Bonsworth had a couple good comments. So I think it's one of our biggest shows yet. Yeah. Yet we're in the middle of April now, and maybe it has something to do with being 20 degrees outside and snowing, at least up here. But
I think the key is picking a set night and then promoting it. We'll talk about it, but Wednesday again, if possible.
Yeah.
That should work.
Yeah.
We got some late watchers now coming in too. I'm watching the list here. We can do this all night. We can do a marathon show in there. What's his name? Not Dean Martin.
Cory Booker?
No, not Cory Booker. Not talk all night. Now, the marathon. Remember Labor Day?
Oh, Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis, yeah.
Yep,
go Pirates. Final thoughts, of course. Gitzer goes
Wait, Karen, can you give us the name of that player, the 4-year graduate? I think we should give her some props when you get a chance, because we're meant to. Jerry Lewis, yeah.
Nick, what were you saying? Duncan, Nick?
We got to get a midsummer telethon going.
Oh, yeah.
Like all-nighter. Just get different hosts, different guests that come on.
We're gonna do a midsummer. Great idea, right? Nice weather. Maybe we can be outdoors at our locations. Yeah. I'll be out in the patio somewhere around here, and then we have we have a fundraiser that goes to the NIL.
Yeah,
that could work.
That'll work. But yeah, final thoughts. Chris Jones, the new employee of MetLife Stadium, and who just had 2 dogs in his hand, by the way.
Yeah, no, my mom came running in. She's like, "Take the dogs." I'm like, "All right, sure, I'll take them." So, but no, again, just when it comes to this men's team, I'm excited to see what is still to come with Shaw, what he's got cooking up behind the scenes. And again, obviously, this women's team still has a bright future after bringing in that transfer. So, a lot of good things going on at Seton Hall.
And I see it behind you. I noticed the Latin diploma behind you.
Yeah, one's for my dad from Monmouth, and the other one's for my mom from Seton Hall.
That's I know. I have
Go
same
Pirates.
one, the same one where my father said, "What the hell is this? I can't read this." Does that say Rutgers?
Yeah.
Duncan, Nick Morgan. Final thoughts.
I mean, I was kind of surprised by the Dual transfer. I know some of my friends are kind of caught off guard too. We kind of thought out of everyone that wasn't Godswill or Jasim Felton, we kind of thought he would be the one to stick around too. So that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. Obviously, the surgery news too, but the women got their first commit from the portal, so that's looking good. And we still have plenty of time for both the men's teams and the women's teams to show us what they got. And I have full faith in Shaw and even more faith in Tony Bozzella to put together a great program for next year. So lots of exciting stuff. Semester's winding down, but the off season's just beginning. So a lot to look forward to for next year for sure.
Yeah, hopefully, I guess we're going to hold our breath for a couple more days, right? 23rd is the last day? 22nd is the next Monday?
Yep.
Right? So, I'll be honest with you, I'm fully expecting Felton to go in. I don't know why, because it just seems that's the trend.
Tuesday.
Yeah, as long as we can keep Godswill and our 7'4" guy, we have some height.
Yeah.
and our new guards.
That 7'4" guy has to duck to get into X every time too through that front door. It's quite the scene. It's funny sitting there at the desk watching him walk in, just kind of ducking in.
See, that's my point though. Romero Gill had almost zero skills when he walked here, and he walked out a G League player.
Yep.
This guy's got to be something. There's got to be something there.
Romero Gill had Christmas dinner at my house one year, and I never had to look up when I had to talk to this ever in my life. Romero, and he's a great, great human being.
You know what's great too? Remember his aunt was on the page a lot, always posting good stuff?
Yeah, that's Gil's.
Bro.
Gil's it. All right, my final thoughts. I don't know, no snow, please. I'm ready for spring. I'm hoping to walk outside and see some northern lights. And great show. Thanks to everybody for joining us. It means a lot, and it's keeping us going because I think we have something sustainable here. People are. I think when the numbers show in a day or two, I think it's going to be one of our biggest shows yet. Thank you, our listeners. Nick, final thoughts.
Yeah, I loved everyone's participation. No censorship here. Feel free. Just keep it clean, Jersey Exotics and everybody else. I love the chemistry. This is just generic. We didn't plan this. I think our chemistry is great. I have faith in Shaw. I have faith in the program. I have faith in our athletic director. These are tough times. They're navigating waters that have never been navigated. This is a changing landscape. When they put in the NIL, it wasn't, like Nicole said, pay for play. And, someone saw loopholes and now it's evolved into that. And, the good news is we're going to have a team this year. And I feel it's going to be a competitive team. I have faith. And hopefully next week, we'll have some more information for you. And Nicole, Bobby, everyone, pleasure working with you guys. And have a great night. Oh, and happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.
And last but not least, the Gidster. What are her final thoughts? I'm
going to use my time to promote our lovely Facebook group and to also thank everyone for all their contributions on Giving Day. It was really great. Invite your Pirate friends, alumni, and fans to join the largest and best shoe Pirates group on Facebook, featuring past Pirate profiles from Zay Williams, our wonderful student, a direct post from media members such as Jerry Carino, the Asbury Park Press, Jaden Daly, and the Daily Dose of Hoops, Bobby Blackjack Garente of Surge Sports, Matt Blazinski, and Brian D. Novellas. We also have our group exclusive live shows, including the Coach Boz show. Hopefully we get him on next week. That would be awesome.
That would be good.
The Pirates pregame show, which will continue on once the season starts, obviously, and our midweek show, Hall Hoops and Happenings. And we may have to add in the off-script show just to talk about whatever we want. But yeah, thank you all for being here, and we appreciate all your contributions to today's show and to our lovely Facebook group.
Yep. Go Pirates.
Go Pirates.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Buona Pasqua.
Bon Natal. Bon Natal. Thank you.
Natal Pasqua.
Oh, did I say the
Pasqua.
wrong thing? Oh, I'm
Natal's
sorry.
Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah, Buona Pasqua. Come on, Nick, you're Italian. Romano's Italian. Feels like Christmas. It's cold enough, but good night, everybody.
good night.
That was funny.